All's well that ends well, I suppose, because, well, guess what came of all of those election lawsuits? Nothing. Guess what came of all of those subpoenas? Nothing. Affidavits? Don't make me laugh. Nothing. Evidence was never seen by the Supreme Court. Everything was tossed out without comment. Lin Wood's lawsuit, tossed out without comment. Petitions of writ of mandamus are denied. Wood filed several third-party cases to challenge the results of last year's election. Wood had asked the Supreme Court justice to block the January 5th Senate runoff elections in Georgia. Democrats won both seats, giving them a slim majority in the Senate. A separate lawsuit was filed in November by Wood, was rejected by the Supreme Court in February. That lawsuit alleged that there were numerous problems with how the election was conducted, including signature matching on absentee ballots. Great causes to stand on, but they don't give a flying fuck about your opinion. And neither do they about Trump's lawsuits as well in the state of Wisconsin. Yeah, those were also dismissed without a single word written by the United States Supreme Court, which is far and away the worst and most useless branch of the government. You don't believe me? Well, what they do rule on nowadays is complete and utter horseshit. And Clarence Thomas, I could imagine, the dude wants to hear a good case on Section 230. The dude wants to hear good cases on election questions, okay? Not even fraud. He just wants to have the opportunity to say, okay, which laws do we enforce? Which laws need to be in place before they can be properly enforced? Give us the opportunity to judge something instead of just throwing it away, Roberts, you fucking cuck. The guy's the worst, okay? And we're going to talk a little bit more about the Supreme Court because I would also bring up Amy Coney Barrett, and I can't remember which video it was where I said that she's quite possibly the worst of all of the Trump appointees, but it's fair to say that she is going to be one of the biggest moles on the Supreme Court's ass. And that is going to metastasize in a hurry because she is young and she will be around forever. And she is a pupil of John Roberts, and that apple does not fall far from the tree. So instead of bringing up her worthless ruling, it was the first majority ruling by Amy Coney Barrett, and it was something about the EPA, and it was something that had dick to do with anything. But instead of going to the student, let's go to the master, because the Supreme Court also ruled on something else today. And in an 8-1 SCOTUS ruling, the only liberal to dissent was John Roberts. Sotomayor, Kagan, and Breyer sided with the other 5 Republican appointees. Okay, I don't even need to use scare quotes for that, because they were all appointed by W, HW, and Trump. But this doesn't make sense, okay? This is one of those fucking big brain conservatives out there that think, oh, well, I can seem like I'm unbiased if I side with leftists every once in a while. You know, if you can see the arguments from both sides, you're going to have a much better case. Just fuck off. Pick your battles, you dumb cunt. And this moron, Chief Justice John Roberts, was the only dissenter in the United States Supreme Court's most recent ruling favoring a couple of Christian students who challenged their university for restricting when, where, and how they could speak about their faith and disseminate materials on campus. A clear and obvious First Amendment ruling, okay? I'm not even going to pretend to be able to pronounce Polish and I don't know, too many vowels in that name to pronounce. Today's 8-1 decision in UVP marks the first time Chief Justice John Roberts has ever been the sole dissenting justice during his entire tenure. The dude is a classic RINO and emblematic of the W. Bush time and the amount of those supporters that are still in the GOP right now. But that is a story for just a little bit later. We'll get to that. U et al. VP Przewski. I can at least pronounce that one. Ugsbanum. It's fun to say, but I don't want to besmirch this dude. First materialized after Chike. A student at Georgia Gwinnett College was stopped by campus police for handing out religious materials on campus, a reported violation of the school's freedom of expression policy. Okay, which limited distributions and other expressions to free speech zones only if only with permission from the administration. Even after Chike moved to the designated areas with permission, however, campus police attempted to stop him from speaking and handing out religious literature. That's fucked up. Prompting him and another student, Joseph Bradford, to take legal action against the university for violating their First and 14th Amendment rights to seek nominal damages. I think that's a fairly cut and dry case. Why did it have to go all the way up to the United States Supreme Court? The students' attempts to sue the school, however, were shot down by both the district courts and the U.S. Court of Appeals. Oh, the 11th Circuit. Yeah, okay, fair enough. After Georgia Gwinnett College changed its freedom of expression policy to remove barriers on when and where students could speak on campus and filed a motion to dismiss the case as moot. It doesn't matter. You still got to fucking adhere to those rules because nobody else should have to face that type of persecution in the future. Set that precedent. Have it made obvious, okay? If the First Amendment, it's literally fucking a couple inches from the top of the piece of paper. It's right there. It's pretty hard to miss, but I guess we need a little refresher from the highest court in the land. The Supreme Court took up the case after Chike and Bradford noted that their rights were still violated no matter what the university modified its policy to reflect and still required a ruling on nominal damages. I completely agree. The only good man, Justice Clarence Thomas, authored an opinion of the court agreeing with the student's case because he's just great. I have nothing bad to say about Clarence Thomas. Applying this principle here is straightforward. For purposes of this appeal, it is undisputed that Chike experienced a completed violation of his constitutional rights when respondents enforced their speech policies against him, because every violation of a right imports damages. Web 29 FCAS at 509, citing a case. Nominal damages can redress uzegbunums. I'll try it once. I guess the second time. Injury, even if he cannot or chooses not to qualify that harm in economic terms, Thomas concluded. Roberts, I don't know, after he took the shoe he wears as a hat off of his head and stuffed it in his mouth to write in crayon for his dissent, that because the university changed their policies, the United States Supreme Court ruling on this would be a moot point. When plaintiffs like Uzegbunum and Bradford allege neither actual damages or prospect of future injury, an award of nominal damages does not change their status or social or condition at all. Such an award instead represents a judicial determination that the plaintiff's interpretation of the law is correct, nothing more. This should give you an open glimpse into the soul of John Roberts and the reason why none of the election cases were brought up after the fact. He thinks that, no, once an injustice is carried out, fuck it, who cares? We don't have to go ahead and redress that. That's what Thomas was arguing in his dissent that was joined by Alito and Gorsuch. And that is the reason why nothing during the time that John Roberts is Chief Justice will there be anything of substance to be ruled on. But with that said, I don't want to be a total doomer on the Supreme Court, even though I think that they have warped from their initial purpose into just being a political body and is ripe for reform. Even more than Congress and the Senate. Yeah, I said it. And who knows, I might be getting my wish if Biden decides he's going to pack the court. But it's reasons like this where a healthy dose of skepticism for politicians, and when they're acting like this, it's hard to say the justices are anything but politicians, can't and should not be trusted. Obviously, I'm fairly upfront with my biases, who I like, who I dislike when it comes to lawmakers. But I suppose to transition into our next point, I should also bring up the analogy that I stated at the beginning, that Amy Coney Barrett merely learnt how to act at the feet of John Roberts. And John Roberts has taken on the form of the man who appointed him, and George W. Bush being a limp-wristed neocon who torpedoed the GOP. And I look at the current state of the GOP. Everybody knows whose party it is at this point. Saying it's anything but Trump's tent is patently absurd. Off the back of CPAC, the rousing ovation he got clearly shows that everybody is vying for his attention in that party. And where he goes, they have to follow. Which is why it's very funny. Very funny. That President Trump was telling the GOP that they are not to use his name for fundraising, because he knows that there are people that are there. Most of his aides who are issuing those endorsements, which when more start rolling in, I haven't seen one that I like so far. Tim Scott. What the fuck kind of an endorsement for Tim Scott is there? Oh my God. Oh my God, if there isn't one bigger of a shit talker, a backstabber in the Senate right now, I can't think of it. Somebody who comes out and shows an about face and then immediately starts sharpening his butcher knife. It's gonna take me a minute to assemble a list, but why he would be immediately endorsed just baffles my mind. But yeah, this is a couple days old, and we have one that's within the past hour. There's the GOP rebuff to this, so hang on to your seats, folks. I know it's exciting, right? Fundraising for a fucking political party. Woo! A year before there's any meaningful elections. Former president has warned the GOP groups to stop using his name and likeness for fundraising, a source confirmed to the Post. Trump's attorneys fired off a letter Friday to the Republican National Committee, the National Republican Senatorial Committee, and the National Republican Congressional Committee with the request. News of the letter was first reported by Politico on Saturday. The president, who has long been protective of his name and public brand, yes, very much so. Honestly, prior to his presidential bid, the Trump name was associated with quality and luxury. But Dawn, what about Trump Steaks and Trump University? Well, how about Trump Tower and Trump Hotels worldwide? We could play this whataboutism game all day. But that's not the point. Was reportedly upset with RNC emails using his name to raise funds where the money could potentially be used on behalf of Republicans who voted to impeach him, and also the way that they used the funds and how they fundraised for his election contests. And yeah, all of that money, did it go to help Trump? Nope. Just little golden parachutes for all of those fucking traitors at the end that decided to jump ship. Trump has vowed to rain down revenge on incumbents who refused to support him by supporting primary challengers in 2022, a move that would set him up for a collision course with the campaigns designed to protect their incumbents. Very much so. And I think this is really going to backfire on them horribly because, yeah, this one is fucking just about an hour old. Republican Party says it will continue to use Trump's name in fundraising appeals. Yup. Okay. So, this is what this is going to lead to, okay? You're going to start hearing that fundraising numbers for the RNC or for Republicans in general are going to be down. And they're going to be basing that off of DNC numbers and RNC numbers. Trump, on, I think it's donaldjtrump.com, has his America First or Save America PAC, whatever his PAC is. That one is the one that you need to start looking at when it comes to fundraising, because that's the one that he is going to be championing. That is the one where the places and the people who get his endorsement, they're going to be able to have access to that political action money. And the RNC, some people are dyed in the wall and they're just going to be giving money to the RNC because they are not going to be privy to these news stories, okay? I seen that one where Trump decided to not lend his likeness to the RNC any further, but not too many people picked up on that. And then this, I'm sure 100% is going to be hidden. So they're just going to see Trump on their emails requesting funds to be put into the RNC's coffers, and they're not going to know the difference. They're not going to understand that by them donating to the RNC, they're indirectly helping Liz Cheney's re-election campaign. So yeah, all of these stories that we covered today were probably fairly under the radar for you. Most of you probably considered all of the election cases dead. So did I, but it's nice to have closure on those, I suppose. And also the fact that the Republican Party is still very much controlled, and all you need to do is just take a look at the endorsements. And like I said, we'll cover that in a later date to just see that the Republican Party itself is run by RINOs, and they are not going down without a fight. So if you are to be making donations in the future for different primary candidates, do the research yourself. First and foremost, you should always be educated on who you would be voting for. And to properly do that research, just take a look at the money that they are receiving. And if they are being funded directly from the RNC, that should be a flag. All of that information is available on places like Open Secrets, or even from the different political action committees themselves. All you need to do is just look up the different PACs, and their money flow is publicly available for everybody to see and track. So if you have a RINO in your district, or if you have somebody coming up thinking that, oh yeah, I'm America First, I'm all for Trump, when in actuality they're just a McConnell pick, it's going to be an interesting time, because I don't see a database right now. It's coming. I'm sure all of this stuff is coming. It's still very, very, very early of good quality candidates that you can back 100%. But until that time, I would say, unless you know somebody is 100% on your same wavelength, don't be making it rain like Biden makes it shower with stimulus checks. That fucking headline, guys. Oof. With that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.